All right, take two. So thank you, Holden, for being here. Why don't you introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, and tell us about your genius zone.
Okay, right to it. My name is Holden Kiss from Chandler, Arizona. Live in Orem, Utah currently, but kind of all over. Kind of get to the genius. What do you call it? Genius?
The genius zone.
Genius zone.
Yeah.
The genius zone. So I'd say my genius zone is before that phase before you're falling asleep, where the mind is thinking sometimes you'll be wide awake and then 7 minutes later you're starting to fall asleep, and then you wake back up and you're like, wait, what was I just thinking about? Because you think of something super creative. So I'd say that's where my genius zone is.
Awesome. So what comes to you in that space? What kind of creativity?
Literally anything and everything. A lot of it is sales, just because I'm in the sales world. So a lot of sales ideas will come up to me. But even something as small as cooking breakfast and thinking of something you want to add to that meal. It's oh, that'd be delicious, and that it'll literally be something as small as that. But I call that the genius zone of thinking of something creative as little as breakfast.
I love that. Just being in the flow, and I love how you specified that it's in that zone of when you're falling asleep. It's not when you're busy doing a million things. And I also love how you keep track of it for yourself. So why don't you tell us what you do to manage those thoughts?
Yeah, so most people, when they think of something really cool or creative, they're either doing something or they're busy or they're too lazy, especially if you're falling asleep. You're well, I don't want to get up and go do that right now, or I don't want to get up and write that down. But the way, if I think of something super creative at night, is I'll just write it down. I have a book right next to my bed, so I'll just write it down if it's a crazy dream or just crazy idea that I had.
Love that. And so dream journaling, actual journaling, the techniques that you're talking about that you do. And first of all, you're so young. So tell us how old you are.
21.
That's amazing. You're so freaking ahead of the curve. I wish I had these tools when I was your age, because it's just I feel so bogged down with all of the thoughts. I have creative stuff going on all the time, and it takes so much energy to try and remember it. Oh, I'll just think of that later, or I'm going to make a mental note of that. Yeah, that doesn't work. You have to write it down on paper. It does two things. It frees up your energy so that you can have the next creative thought come in without blocks.
I like that.
And also, like you were mentioning on our previous call, is it lets you just come back to that effortlessly. You don't have to try to remember it. You know it's there waiting for you whenever you need it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so how did you find these tools?
Pretty generic as YouTube. That's probably where I learned a lot. So when I was in high school, senior year, I was preparing to go out and get into a sales job right after high school, and I wanted to be prepared for it. I don't want to go out and just be blind, so I want to see what all the best salespeople were doing. I want to see what their habits were like, and it was stuff like that. It was dream journaling, or it was waking up early, going to the gym, doing something productive, just learning, because it is the training. You have to learn not necessarily the words, but the mindset, especially in direct sales, because it's such a hard thing to do. So trying to learn from the best, and I was okay, I have to do these things or follow these guys' habits so I can be successful in the sales game like they are.
So you were already interested in sales, and so when you're doing your YouTube searching, you're typing in what?
So there's a really cool platform that this guy named Sam Taggart started for the door-to-door industry. He does podcasts. He does this thing called Door-to-Door Con they do every year, and he gets a bunch of guys in the industry. If it's solar, pest control, alarms, roofing, he'll get all these guys, and then they'll come together and collaborate, come up with crazy ideas how to recruit bigger teams, how to sell 1,000 accounts and pest control accounts in the summer, how to sell 100 solar deals in a month, stuff like that. So you learn up from all these guys that are just killers in the sales game.
That's amazing. And I love the opportunity to network there also. I know friends who are in the real estate game, and it's like they want to network with people who do pest control or people who do solar, because their leads can become your leads and vice versa, and you can just help each other grow. And so when you find the right people who vibe with you and have that mindset, and again, you're so far ahead of the game, like even knowing that it all starts with mindset is like, some people it takes 15 years of struggle to even learn that mindset was the problem. And so you're like, hey, I'm showing up right at the beginning of the game and I know the right tools, and you've had so much success. Like you're going on to own your own branch. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. That's a big thing, is nobody thinks about, they're like, everyone lives in the world of get rich quick. Even when I was young, I was in high school, 16,
you
17.
You are still young.
When I was younger, looking into like, okay, looking literally on the internet, how does someone under 18 make a lot of money really quick? How do you make a lot of money really quick? But it's never that way. It's not. It never will be. And you'll hear all these things, oh, do this, and do this, but it's not true. You have to get your mindset right first, so you're able to do, and then find a skill set, get really good at that skill set, and then hammer down on that, and that's how you'll make it successful in whatever venture you're going into.
And I love where you started, is like you started in sales, and you almost started like in the hardest avenue of sales, is door-to-door sales, which just the sound of that is enough to turn people off to like not even trying. And it's so crazy the level of success you can have even if you just commit to it for 3 months, because sales is a direct thing. Like however much you put in is what you're going to get out. It's not like you're just, there's so many industries where you have to slave away for $7 an hour. And so it doesn't matter how much you give, is you're capped at what you can get in return. And so with sales, it's like the direct opposite. It's the better you get, the better your results are. And it doesn't matter if you're a service provider, it doesn't matter like what area of business you're in. Maybe you even just like make products. Maybe you're not even in like the customer side of it. But if you understand sales, like it just helps you structure everything you're doing in a way that will work. Like if you make products, if you don't understand sales, your product isn't going to end up being what serves people's needs in the right way. You have to understand your ideal customer. You have to understand their pain points and what they want, and how to package it in a way that's going to benefit them and be a win-win for both the sales agent and the customer, right?
Every business is operated off sales. I don't know one business that doesn't operate off sales.
Absolutely.
Every business has to sell something.
Yes. And so tell us more about like your specific business. How did you even find it? Like, how did you even start doing this in the first place?
Yeah, I got lucky. I moved to Utah when I was 17, so still in high school. And when I moved up here, I was living up on my mom's house, just up the street, and I was by myself, but she didn't want me to be by myself, so she put an ad on Facebook looking for like someone to rent out a room, like a college student, so it wasn't like some random old creepy guy. And this guy Brent ends up taking the room, and when I met him, he was currently selling cars, but before he sold alarms and solar. Did okay in alarms, didn't make it too hot in solar, and then was selling cars. And then when the summer of me going in my senior year, because he was 24, 23 at the time, he was going out and selling his first summer with the company I'm with right now. And so after he finished that summer, I was still going through my senior year. He's like, yo, you have to come out next summer. I made $70,000 in 4 or 5 months. I was like, well, I'm in high school and that sounds amazing. So I'm already committed. So I started there, and then pretty much every year after that, just gone out every summer, and then, yeah.
So you really just focus on the summer sales.
Yeah, I think this year with Arizona, it's going to be more of a mixture, because we'll have snow in Arizona. So we can do winter, we can do spring, we can do fall, we can do summer. So it'll be a little bit more year round, which is sweet.
Yeah, I mean, that just like quadruples your capacity to make sales, because you're not fighting cold weather and snow and all of these things. And especially in desert areas where bugs are like insane. They're huge and they are plentiful.
Yes. Yeah, up here in the mountains, we don't have that many bugs, maybe the occasional spiders, but I know down in Texas,
Yes.
it's no joke down there for you guys.
Yeah, that is seriously like a life-saving service you're providing is pest control in Texas.
You got roaches that are the size of your fingers.
Oh my gosh, like everything is massive, like it's on steroids, and everything I think wants to kill you because it all looks poisonous and you just don't know. So why risk it, you know?
I think when I was down there, I saw like 2 or 3 snakes, and that was just like on people's in yards. And I saw one as on someone, like right in someone's front door. And I had to go knock on the neighbor's door's house and be like, hey, your neighbor has a snake right at the front door. Probably shouldn't use it.
What a great marketing. Like, hey, there's snakes. You probably
by the way,
pest control.
Buy my pest control.
Yeah.
You're going to want it.
And so let's talk about that, because I never would have even thought about that. What is a pest? What does it even cover?
So there's pretty much, there's a line where it kind of separates. There's animal control and then there's pest control. Animal control, I think, is more, I think there's companies that do it, but it's more of a government thing. Right? You call it animal control when you see crazy like dogs with rabies running around the neighborhood biting little kids. But so animals would be like, obviously I said dogs, but like raccoons, stuff like that. Where you get the pest, it's more on like the rats. For like the rodent side, it's rats and mice, mainly termites. And then you're talking your basics like ants, spiders, scorpions, roaches, the nasty ones. Those are your pretty much your basic pests.
And so you also have to think, though, of the ripple effect, because even if you are just approaching the pest control, not getting into the animal control side, what do those animals eat? They eat the pests that if you don't have the pests, then you're not going to have the further problem of like the possums and the raccoons and all of this crazy stuff.
Yeah, I love to try to use that logic for people who are like, well, I have a raccoon. And I'm like, well, if we take care of whatever the raccoon's eating, maybe it'll go away, but I can't guarantee we're going to get rid of your raccoon.
Right.
And that's obviously something that's a different ballgame, but you know, sometimes it works.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense to me. Like if I was, especially in Texas, like you're saying, you saw a few snakes and being there for just the summer, but like having lived there for 10 going on 12 years is like, yeah, snakes are no joke. They're 6 feet long and you have every kind of poisonous snake, and rattlesnakes are like a daily occurrence if you're in certain areas. Even though it's highly populated, it's like these things are a problem. Coyotes are a problem. It's like, but if you can control, you know, everything needs food and everything needs water. And so if you are eliminating, you know, not claiming that you get rid of raccoons or rabid dogs or anything like that, but just common sense wise, if you're eliminating the food source, then you're going to have less of a problem overall.
Yep.
And so you're owning this branch in Arizona. You're hiring for people.
Yep.
And so tell us, like you said, 70 grand in one summer from your friend that got you into this.
Yeah.
Tell us some more like big wins that you've had or seen in your industry and what positions you're hiring for.
Yeah. So that touched on what we were kind of talking about before. Yeah. So like the big wins, it's really like what you're talking about is when you're working at a place and they say they're giving you $10 an hour, $15 an hour. That's how much you're getting paid, and that's how much your time is technically worth, if you think about it. So say we're both working at McDonald's, right? And we're both getting $10 an hour, right? You're working your ass off. You're working super hard, right? Make sure all the customers are getting taken care of, doing pretty much all the work. Most of the time, I'm just sitting on my phone, right? But we're still getting paid the same amount of time, right? So with sales or direct sales, when you have to go out and generate your own leads, is if you're working your ass off and I'm on my phone the whole time, I'm just sitting on benches, then you're the one that's going to be getting a good paycheck. I'm going to be getting paid nothing. And that's how sales works in that aspect. So it's like, it's either you're going to work and make a lot of money, or you're not going to work and you're not going to make any money. So if you work really hard, then the paycheck is really up to how much you want to put into it.
Yeah, there is no cap.
Right.
It's like, why would you not want your time to be worth a limitless amount of money?
Yeah, you choose how much you want to put in. And it's tough because you'll have those days where like, oh, I don't want to work hard today, because there's a lot of jobs where you can kind of sit back and kind of relax, kind of go through the motions. But it's one of those jobs where it's like every day you have to be on your A game if you want to get paid correctly.
And so you're owning your own branch in Arizona, and you're hiring for a whole new team of people.
Yep.
And so what positions are you hiring for?
Just sales positions and technician positions. The guys that come and spray the bugs, which is cool. They get paid an hourly, but the coolest thing about technicians is that we kind of throw sales into it. So it's like every 5-star review you get, and we get you paid for every good review you get. So instead of just, oh, we'll pay you this, go spray some bugs every hour, blah, blah, blah. Hey, if you get that person to give you a 5-star review, then you're going to get add on to your paycheck. Mm-hmm. And that's sales, right? If you go on and knock on the door, you're answering all their questions, you're being there, just good customer service, they're going to feel inclined to already leave you a 5-star review. So when you ask them, they're like, yeah, no problem.
It's amazing. And so what I love about that is that they're like, and one reason I was so excited to have you on the show for this conversation is because so many people who have big dreams of owning their own business or starting a new industry or paving their own path in some big way that's like literally built from the ground up, is that's a huge thing. And you don't always have to just like leave the corporate world to start your own thing. Is like something like door-to-door sales, or something that will value your time like without a cap, where as much as you put in you can get out of it. Like I was telling you, there's a new social app called Clubhouse, and I jumped in a room. It was like Millionaire's Breakfast Club. And the first guy that I'm listening to speak is like, yeah, I sold pest control for 3 months, just door-to-door sales. And that literally fueled my entire business. That gave me 3 months of work, gave me enough savings that I have never had to look back in my own business. And so it's not always about just like A and B. It's like there's steps in the middle that can get you where you want to go, no matter what your goals are. And so I love how, like with the technicians, it's like not everybody wants to show up and like be in control, right? Some people want the easier path of like, just pay me an hourly rate. And hey, if I can get bonuses based on like good customer service, that's perfect. That's awesome. That's all I need. But that's also kind of breeding you for the next level of your expansion. It's like, hey, are you getting 5-star reviews every single time? Do you want to get into sales? Because like now your income cap is like there is no cap, right? Mm-hmm. Everything's as much as you put into it. And so I just think it's such an important conversation, because in the business world, we get so trapped into our mindset of like, if it doesn't look like this, it has to look like this. And there's like nothing in between. And for your creativity, for your sense of like financial stability, like that is the wrong mindset to have, because there are so many things that you can do to take control of your situation and take a breath, especially if you're coming out of the corporate world. One of my favorite stories is there's a woman making 6-7 figures as a lawyer in New York. She quit and moved to some island where she's making $10 an hour selling ice cream on the beach, and it's the happiest she's ever been. It's like giving yourself that break of like knowing, for example, if you're just going to do one summer of pest control, is like, I can buckle down for one summer. It's like anyone can commit to something for 2 or 3 months, like, especially if there's this massive reward. So I love that there's room for everyone in this like business model, and it doesn't matter what your goals are. Yeah. And so you have friends, like I saw your Instagram story. You have a friend who just bought a $500,000 house at what, like age 23 or something like
26.
that? 26.
Yeah.
Still super impressive. I know personally you do sports, you snowboard, you go mountain biking. And so while success is important to you and a priority, is like, so is actually enjoying your life.
Yeah.
And so this like sales lets you do both, right? It lets you have control over your schedule.
It's important because you're working so hard that you have to take that week or two where it's like, okay, why am I working so hard? And then you go and do something fun. You're like, okay, this is why I'm working so hard. This is why I'm getting cussed at on a weekly basis and getting told that I'm gonna get shot if I don't leave the property. As you leave and you go and you're like, oh, okay, now I'm on vacation. I can see why those 2 weeks of getting the door slammed in my face was worth it.
And so I know you're using some ugly examples, but when you show up in the right way, that really decreases the rudeness that people put back to you. It's like, if you're just like ignoring no soliciting signs and just knocking on their door and kind of being a jerk about how you sell, yeah, they're probably going to get mad at you. Yeah. But if you show up, you can still ignore the no soliciting sign. I know you personally have talked about that you don't pay attention to those, because that's a sale that nobody else is trying to get. Like, they're just going to assume that person's a jerk. But a lot of times people just don't want like 25 people showing up at their door, right? And if you show up and you have a good attitude and you're trying to provide them a service that like they're going to get a benefit out of, you get a lot of a different reaction. Is that right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, if you're a jerk salesman, you're not going to do very well. That is the fact. And it's hard not to be, because every time someone opens the door, all they see is you, and they don't know about the previous 10 doors you just had. So if the previous 10 doors were amazing, you're probably going to be in a good mood on that 11th door, on that 10th door. But if the 10 previous doors were absolute trash and they just kicked your face in, and then you get to that 10th or 11th door and you can just tell your face has been kicked in, and then that energy rubs off on them, and then they're instantly going to be either rude to you, or they're going to treat you like the past tense. Every door, every time they open it, it's like a fresh slate. It's like the person before, literally your neighbor, just cussed at me, but I'm acting like I'm the happiest man right now. Yeah.
And so would you say that's the biggest key to your success? Like, if you had to bullet off some of the things that you do that separate you from other salesmen, why are you so successful?
Yeah, I think being resilient, being in sales, and you have to be very resilient, because you'll go through a lot of rejection. You'll go through a lot of, obviously direct sales is, people are just going to be like, this rejection. So if you can overcome rejection, you can be resilient and not leave what the previous customer left on you, and just carry on through your day, then yeah, you'll be successful.
I love that. And I think you worded it well. It's like every door is a fresh slate. So it's like, you can't, in transformation, we talk about that a lot, is like, you can't bring the baggage of whatever was before, whether it's romantic relationships or failed businesses or that shitty door that goes next door. You can't bring that to the table with what you're trying to do now. And so one of the best ways, I think, to be successful is to allow, like, to learn how to identify the baggage that you're bringing to the table and set it down, so that every door, it's just a rapid door-to-door sales just shows you that quickly. It is like, if you bring the shitty attitude from the next door neighbor over, the store is probably not going to go that great. If you can take 2 seconds, breathe it off, like, I don't know what you have to do. Imagine that you're leaving it in that person's front yard or whatever, and then like go to the next door as if this is your first door of the day, or you just sold the biggest deal of your life. Is like bringing that inspiration, that passion, that like almost expecting success rather than expecting failure can completely change your results.
I like how you kind of tied that into real world with like fresh slate. If it's like you're saying, a relationship or literally anything, it's like you're at the grocery store and some person cuts you off with their cart, or they're just being rude to you. Don't carry that and go to the cashier and then be rude to the cashier. It's like, no, fresh slate. Like, every interaction should be a fresh slate, and just like good, genuine, hey, how are you doing? How's your day? Good to see you. Good to see you again.
Yeah, giving yourself like, and boundaries is so important. Like, now we're like really getting into other things that make this possible, but like having healthy boundaries, because if you just are in a situation where someone is treating you like trash and you're just allowing it to happen, then what you're doing is not allowing yourself to show up as your best self in that situation, and then in anything afterwards. So I loved your example of like, yeah, somebody cut you off on the way to the grocery store. That had nothing to do with the teller. You have no idea if the person who cut you off was rushing to the hospital because maybe their child just got in a crazy injury and they have to get there as fast as possible. Maybe they are just arrogant, but giving them, assuming the worst, doesn't do anybody any favors. And it allows you to kind of pack that emotion and all of the like rage or fear that happened when that person cut you off. You're then bringing it and kind of vomiting it on anyone that's around you, whether you mean to or not. Is like, we don't realize how short we are. We don't realize that like not giving people eye contact, not saying thank you. That's like the easiest thing to do, and it's free. It makes everyone feel acknowledged and good. Like, I don't care if it's the person who bagged your groceries, just like say thank you. It's going to make their day. It's like you can either pass on, like you were saying, like pass on this shit vibration that's just garbage and affects everyone in a bad way, or you can turn that on its head and be someone that really tries to, like, you know, whether it's a smile or a hello or using someone's name, like bringing that like fresh inspiration and allowing it to be a positive ripple effect rather than just a horrible ripple effect.
You know what's more infectious than COVID?
A smile?
That too, but negativity.
Yes.
That shit will run like wildfire.
Yeah, and gossip. It's like,
Gossip.
I know a lot of people who I honestly, seriously wonder if they know how to communicate if it's not about gossip.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard because if that's a situation that you're in, it's like, it's easy to fall into it. Mm-hmm. Because A, we want to fit in, like it's human nature to want to fit in. And B, like it's scientifically proven that we imitate the behaviors of the 10 people who are closest to us. Mm-hmm. That can be in the room, that can be like who you inspire. But if you're in the room with 10 people who all are just gossiping, you're going to be 90 times, 100 times more likely to fall into that pattern, even if you don't like it. You have to watch, like, really watch the vibration. And that's where it all starts, is it starts with energy. Mm-hmm. And so that's one thing that I really just admire about you is you're obviously grounded. You're obviously just like have a fresh outlook and just try to be like, and I don't even mean try because it seems effortless for you, is like that's kind of the vibe that you have, is like you can just be chill with anybody anytime. And I'm sure sales goes really well for you because you are personable. You know, I've watched you interact with like little kids that are like 4 and under, and I watched you interact with adults that are 2 generations older than you. And it's like everybody just feels welcome and it's easy to talk to you, it's easy to relate to you, and everything's comfortable. It's like, that's a skill. Did it always come naturally for you, or is that something you had to practice?
Growing up, I was always shy, so it definitely didn't come naturally, and I still don't think I'm the best personal person, but definitely doing what I do for work is I just got progressively better at it because it starts to become more, it's like when you first start learning sales or like any type of communication is you're learning it, right? And then once you get good at it, then it's more natural, right? So it's like when you pick up a baseball bat and you're trying to hit a ball for the first time and you just can't hit it, but then over time it's like that swing starts to become more natural, just like your communication skills, just like skills, pretty much anything. Because once it becomes more natural, that's when it becomes effortlessly.
It's like, don't discount faking it till you make it. But if you're faking it till you make it for like a really long time, then there's a piece that you're missing that might need to be acknowledged and integrated. And so, I mean, we've peppered in so many tips, like mindset, journaling, dream journaling, like so many things, showing up with a fresh slate. But would you say that you have any other quick tips? I mean, even like YouTubing people, like you've peppered in so much inspiration in here, but if you have any other quick tips that you'd like to share, we'd love to hear it.
I think I have probably too many to share, but pretty much where I started, where I learned, just watching what the successful people are doing. If it's following them on Instagram, if it's YouTubing them, just seeing what they're doing on a day in, day out basis, because they're obviously doing something right. And if they're willing to talk about it, listen to them because they're probably saying the right things. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else? And I don't want to pry it out of you, but
you gotta give me a subject.
Oh my gosh. Okay, like, so you said some things that you do on a daily basis. Journal, you work out, like wake up early. Mm-hmm. Obviously a lot of it's about mindset, but like, so what does your daily life look like? Even if it's your day off, even if you just had 25 shitty things, like what keeps you moving in a positive trajectory?
Well, I'll go on day on to start. So day on, like I'm in the grind, it's middle summer, like we're grinding, it's waking up. I always try to eat a really good breakfast before I go out. Just because you're literally walking around all day, like you need the nutrition to be able to function the whole day. I try to go to the gym before every day. If not, then I'll go at night. And then we have a meeting, kind of get everybody hyped up. We're just ready to go. We go out to the doors. We kind of hustle out, try to get out there quick, kind of like stay in that like mindset, and then get out there and then just going through the motions. You could knock on that first door and they could open it and be a total jerk, or like be totally nice, and you just can't let that kind of take you where your day's going to go. Kind of losing where I was going with that.
So maintaining your own, like this is my day, and I'm in control of how my day goes, and it doesn't matter what you try to do to ruin it. I'm going to be in a good mood anyways.
That's exactly it. And then day off is kind of, my schedule's weird because I work in the summer, and the rest of the year I'm kind of hanging out, working here and there, but not doing the actual sales gig. But when I'm back home, a lot of kids I know that do a seasonal job is they'll make their money in that short period, and then they'll come home and kind of just not do anything. They'll wake up whenever, they'll play video games all day, they'll just party all night, whatever. Kind of just do that for like 6-7 months, which is cool if that's your thing. But if you want to stay in that good mindset, is like when you go back home, it's not like, well, now let's do nothing for 7 months. We still got to do something, because just staying productive is always good. So for me, it's literally just waking up and going to the gym. That's the first thing I do every day. Is I wake up, go to the gym, so I start my day off productive, and then do everything productive that I have to do. Try to do it earlier in the day,
so that you have, like, you started your day off in your own zone, and you have time at the end of the day. You don't feel like you're just giving away your whole day to whatever is outside of you, but you can start your day from a good place and end your day from a good place. And then it sounds like also, using the same mindset, if you're talking about when you're on the grind, doing day-to-day summer sales, is like waking up at the same time, having that mindset, but then not losing that. So, I mean, using your activities as an example is wake up early. You can either go to the gym or plan a day to go snowboarding. It's like it's the same mindset to get up and do something productive, whether it's for work or for fun, or, something that needs to be done around the house. You can bring that same kind of intention to it that way.
Yeah, it's never good to, I'm guilty of it. I wake up, I'm on my phone for the first 10, 15, 20 minutes of the day. But it's not good to wake up, especially if I think most people's, their work week is Monday, Friday. So you wake up on Saturday or Sunday, and then you're just sitting in bed for 2-3 hours, just literally just on your phone. You haven't gotten to eat breakfast yet. It's like, that's what a lot of people do, and we don't really talk about it, but a lot of people end up doing that. But it's good to wake up, obviously, kind of see what's updated on your phone, but even if you don't go to the gym, just go make breakfast. Do something, make your bed, go brush your teeth right away. Just anything to get up and go and move out of bed.
Yeah, get a habit going, any kind of habit, whether it's hygiene or journaling or anything. And I love that you brought up the phone, because it is like we are literally in a information pandemic long before COVID was a pandemic. Is we're just inundated with information from every aspect of our lives 24/7. And so many people, the first thing they do, their eyes aren't even open yet. Like, they haven't even consciously come into their body, and they're reaching for their phone to like tune into what everybody else is doing. It's like, if you don't have a place of being centered, what the hell are you trying to do looking at anybody else? Is you have to be awake and like intentional about, okay, I'm at least centered in my own energy, and I know what I'm doing with myself today. Now what?
Breathe some fresh air. Wake up, breathe some air.
Yeah, seriously. Like you said, even if it's making breakfast, drinking a glass of water, that takes like zero effort. And like walking, even if it's, like grandma used to struggle to like walk around the driveway, but that was still her goal. It might be like a 5-minute thing, but it was like walking around the driveway, because anything. And I love that you're talking about physical activity. Like, as a massage therapist, I can tell you the issues are in our tissues, right? So any shitty thoughts, emotions, belief systems, disappointments, heartbreaks, anything that's happened to us, our body adopts that frequency and holds that story. And so by working out, by getting a massage, by eating healthy food, by drinking enough water, all of these things allow that energy to move so that you can heal while moving forward or be progressive with your day and get the results that you want.
I like what you said about grandma just like going around the driveway. Like that's her goal. Is a lot of people they'll get like a spurt of inspiration or motivation, and they'll try to change their whole day. They'll go from being in their terrible habits to like, you know what, I feel inspired today. I just watched an inspirational video or a movie or read a book, and they just want to flip it the next day. But it's never like that. It's a slow process. The next day it's like, okay, normally you used to not wake up and go make breakfast right away. So you change that. Instead of waking up trying to wake up, normally you wake up at 9, but then trying to wake up at 4 the next day, going to the gym, coming home, making breakfast, and then going and then working through the whole day. And then after work, then you're doing work around the house, trying to be more productive. It's like, it's a slow thing. Because if you do that, if you wake up one day and try to totally change your life, then you're just going to get burnt out super quick. You'll be like, you know what, I hate this. I'm going to go back to my normal ways.
Yeah. And a lot of it is around our idea of success and failure is, okay, I'm going to try and like change my whole life in one day. And it's like, okay, then what happens is anything that you're not 100% on, you beat yourself up. Oh, I suck. I shouldn't have tried to do this. Like, this diet's not going to work for me. You know, all of this negative self-talk that just prevents you like from moving forward at all. And so I love what you're talking about. Like, yes, it's about the baby steps. Like, don't try to change 50 things at a time. If you want to change 50 things at a time, that's totally fine. Write them down and put them in a list of priorities. Like, figure out, you know, sometimes, like, for example, I'll just use Lymph as a thing because that's my world, is if I want to change my health and my mood and my sleep and my digestion and lose weight and all of these things, the easiest place for me to start, the least amount of effort with the most results, is lymphatic drainage therapy. But you can use that mentality in anything in your life. It's like, maybe you want to change your diet. Maybe you want to go to the gym every day. Maybe you want to make 7 or 8 figures in your business when you're used to making 5. You know, it doesn't really matter what your goals are. Don't try to change everything at once. Find the mindset. You know, maybe waking up early is one thing you can change that will affect in a positive way all of those other goals that you have. Sometimes you can use that to work out. Sometimes you can use that to journal. Sometimes you can use that to just put your phone down and breathe. You know, all of these things are valuable. Breathing, there's an amazing quote, and I forget who said it, like Ram Dass, or I don't even know, like, yeah, probably butchering who said it, but it's amazing because super spiritual leader talking in front of like a stage of like 100,000 people live, plus millions of people tuning in. And the next morning having coffee by himself in a quiet room, you know, simple room, simple furniture, all of these things. And he realized that he was just as powerful in that moment of being completely centered and drinking coffee in peace and quiet, not talking to anybody, that he was when he was talking to millions of people sharing some message. It's like your energy and your mindset is everything. And whether it's you're sparking individuals to change, or you're just impacting the collective consciousness because you're able to breathe and be centered and like be a positive person, even if you haven't connected with anyone else, just that energy like really does change everything around you. So
I like that.
Yeah, thanks for everything about this conversation. It's been so fun. Is there anything you want to share before we wrap up?
Keep good energy. 2021, we need it.
Oh my gosh, yes. That's the new template for normal, is care about your energy and keep it high. Keep it positive.
Be nice to people. You got to do it.
Yes.
We need it.
Smile. Say hi.
Smile.
It's free.
Yeah, exactly.
Do the free things that are easy that make this world a better place, right?
Yep.
We all feel better. We all benefit. So, well, thank you. And I hope you have a wonderful day.
You too. Thanks.
Yeah.